Welcome to Noble Thoughts by Idiots!
Do you want to do a Noble Thoughts by Idiots review?
Yes,
Now
absolutely.
Here's the question. We've got two reviews tonight. We've got Gears of War 5 because we finally beat that game, and we have some thoughts. And I think
It took us 3 months.
yeah, only. And I think personally that we should also come up with like a title for our reviews, because our reviews will be, we're obviously not going to be reviewing the most recent of things because we're too busy.
This is why our reviews are good. Our reviews are reviews for normal people.
True.
Not people who not people who blow through a game in one sitting. We're people who play for a couple hours a night.
Yeah.
You have stuff to do.
No, that's true. And I think that this was we weren't forced. We were just doing it on our own time,
And that's a great thing. Like, we look at it from the perspective, one, of the normal person, and two, of how the game actually plays out over time. Like, is it memorable? From session to session, and are you itching to get back into it, or do you just want to beat it for the sake of beating it?
True. That's what she said. Anyway, yeah, and I will say that so we are gonna do Gears of War right now. Our thoughts on Gears of War 5 review, and we'll come up with a title. Because I think it's like you were saying, we did it on our own time. So, but I actually prefer it that way. I prefer a review on something that wasn't rushed, that was just taking our time. So, and we're gonna do this on multiple things, anything from video games to movies. When the movie could have came out 15 years ago, but I watched it today. We'll talk about it. So, in that case, we're doing Gears of War 5. So, how about this, Goose? So, the audience that is not existent for the time being, but will hear us at some point, what have your thoughts been on Gears of War franchise in general prior to playing Gears of War 5?
See, it's hard. I like the games, but I hate them. They're fun when you're playing co-op with people.
Damn. Can you hold on a sec? Baby thing. Let me just pause. I'm going to pause the record for a second. We're back on record. And I've got a baby. Okay. So you were saying about Gears of War 5.
Well, about Gears in general.
Yes.
I like the games. I don't love them. They're fun to play with friends. Playing it by myself? Nah, probably not. Multiplayer? If you can play it casually, it's fun. Competitive? I despise competitive.
Well, back on the camp. Well, I do want to hear about your multiplayer because I have the same thoughts. On the campaign side, I've always liked the campaigns because I always thought they're like movie blockbusters, for the summer when they're come out.
They're kind of like Arnold movies.
Yeah.
For video games, essentially.
Yeah, but I want to see them, and I think, and they definitely should be played at least once. I want to experience it, and that's why I wanted to beat this Gears of War 5 campaign. Go ahead.
I guess, sorry, on the same plane, what are your thoughts, just so people can get your perspective of this franchise?
I've always enjoyed the Gears of War campaigns. As I was saying, it's like a movie blockbuster. I need to see it. I want to, and I actually think it's one of the best co-op experiences for the last, I'd say decade that you can have. Personally, my favorite of the Gears franchise, has been Gears of War 3. Campaign-wise, I thought that was really cool, what they did there. They're all really well done. I thought when Gears of War 1 first was teased out and they had that Mad World music playing, did you remember that trailer?
Oh, yeah.
And that was awesome, and that really drew us in. And I thought what they did with Gears of War 2's campaign, the story from Dominic's side, and what he's trying to do, tracking down his wife.
Yeah.
And I thought how how 3 at the time was the idea that they were going to wrap it up. I thought how they ended Gears of War 3, and I guess we're going to say spoilers right here. We're going to pretty much
yes.
spoil this.
If anyone can have this spoiled, that's a diehard Gears fan at this point, 3 months after the fact it's released.
Pretty much.
So
just fair warning, we're about to spoiler some things. So I'm going to count it down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're now spoiling some things. How in Gears of War 2, we all know when Dom had to kill his wife. I thought that was pretty dark.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I know. Oh, did you skip that scene? I can't remember.
Probably.
But yeah, when he had to do that. And also, do you remember from Gears of War 2 that, let's say, I think he was like Hawaiian, not Hawaiian. What kind of?
Oh yeah, I know the Mori.
Yeah,
Mori.
more. Yeah, that style. And I thought like he was a badass, and he was like no pain, no. He's all spiritual, and he's like nothing will break him. And then they kidnap. Not kidnapped, but like he was, turned into a prisoner, and they did something to him in that time. And then you give him you free him, and you're like, yeah, we got him back. And when he uses that shotgun, you're like, everything's going well. And then he shoots his own and blows off his own head. That was dark. That was, I questioned that. I was like, oh man, I actually really liked him. So it's kind of bummed to see that. So, and I didn't see that coming. So I thought that was really, they've always done things to change up the enemy. What have you thought of the enemy types in the Gears franchise?
See, I don't know. To me, Gears has always been a game just to play because it's a blockbuster. Supposedly.
Yeah, blockbuster. I like that.
Yeah. It's a new thing. I don't know. I don't like when games have to change enemy types. To me, it's like when what people say about shows when they have to bring in new characters is it's a sign of the show going downhill because they're running out of ideas.
Do you think it's like a jump the shark scene? Is what you think with when it comes to enemy types? Because, well,
like I told you, like we were talking about the other night when we were playing Xbox, I didn't like the brutes in Halo. They should have just kept with the Flood and the Covenant.
Okay, side tangent. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, going back around to Gears, I don't like the robots. I guess it plays into their story, but yeah.
Side tangent here. Halo's my favorite game. We will have a conversation on that in the future, and I have lots to say about when it comes to the brutes. But I think we'll save that for another show because I could talk many, many, many hours of Halo. but wait. So, but just to say the enemy types. See, I think a good game. See. Okay, let me put it this way. If I gave you 2 games, okay, they're the same story, and everything. But if in one story, the enemies stayed the same all the way through, or in the second story, there were multiple enemy types, which would mean change of gameplay, wouldn't you prefer the multiple enemy types? Like, I think a good game, like a shielder, okay, now that's a shield guy. Yeah. Well, now you have to flank.
See, this is what I would prefer. Is keeping... Okay, so you have locusts and machines, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And Gears. They should have just done more with the locusts. Make different locusts. More locusts.
Well, I mean, they did seem... Well, when it comes to... How about bosses? Because we'll go down to the smaller enemies, but, like, each Gears game seemed to have a major boss. Like, Gears of War 1, it was General Ram. You know what I mean? The big bad. I thought that was really well done. And then after, he was a very imposing villain, commander of the Horde, and and you start to get, hear about him. And he makes an appearance in Gears of War Judgment, if you ever played that one with Baird. Why Baird was, arrested at one point, And then you have in Gears of War 2. Do you remember the? He had the dreadlocks kind of deal. Scourge, I think it was, or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he was a cool enemy type because he had that double-ended staff. Now I do remember the time if you remember in Gears of War 2, when you actually had to fight him, it was a little comedic. That if you remember in the big room, he's like in a giant room full of columns, and it looked like he was sneaking from column to column. He was like, like he was tiptoeing. Do you remember that? So I thought he was an interesting. I thought he was a cool enemy, but when you played against him, it was a little like, wait, is that really the movement they chose?
Yeah. What this was? So this was like the people who originally created, not Doom, Unreal Tournament. Yes,
Epic
the
Games.
designers.
Yeah, I mean it was by Epic Games.
Yeah, so that's
I would
what.
assume, yeah.
So everything kind of fits in that universe. I don't know. I kind of think the way the first. This has nothing to do with Gears 5, just the series in general. In a perfect world, in my perfect world, what they should have done with this game is just gone like super kind of, I guess, super cheesy, and just gone out with the put rock music in it, because they tried to build it up as like you're some huge badass soldiers walking around chainsawing people and shooting people in the face with shotguns. To me, it's like music wise, it should have been like they should have tried to license real rock music and put it in there instead of this super serious orchestra music.
So you like real world, like modern day pop and rock songs.
If it's done right, yeah.
Yeah, and it can be done. Just saying. I have a thought now. You weren't expecting when you went to go play Gears of War 1, and you're like, where the hell is Mad World? I want that song. I mean, I get it. Okay. All right, that's
the way I don't get me wrong. I like the games. I do. They're fun.
Yeah.
They are fun because they're completely different than any other shooters that are out there right now.
Yeah,
too.
And they were the one that really capitalized on that cover shooter.
Yeah, that kind of waned after the first 2 games, I guess. Like you didn't really have to sit behind cover, I guess, unless you were playing like hardcore.
Yeah, insane mode and everything, which is what I thought. Yeah, that's an interesting thought on the music side. I mean, I do think
that's just a minor gripe. That's just a wish on my behalf.
But as a general, would you overly say, if I had to ask you the Gears of War franchise in general, though, do you like it or not like it? What would you say? Yeah,
I do, and I would recommend it to people.
Yeah, okay. And people that never had, like, they get an Xbox first time, would you tell them to start the Gears of War franchise?
I wouldn't say that's the first game to play, but I would say definitely buy it.
Yeah, okay, cool. And obviously that Xbox Game Pass would definitely be a steal because they have every Gears on there.
And the fact that they remade the first 2, or no, first 3, right? And put it on the this was when the 1 first came out, they remade them.
They did. You're right. They remastered Gears of War.
I have that one, which you should look into, and we should probably play the first 2 again. So yeah, I would recommend people playing it. It's just I don't particularly care for the newest one.
Sure. Well, okay. That's more
of a mechanics thing rather than story and style.
We haven't even gotten into Gears of War 5, so let's just start. This is why we're fans. I think it's safe to say we're fans.
Certainly.
And so going into Gears of War 5, I feel go ahead.
We should let's break this down. Well,
I think the game as a whole had good attributes. It was just that there were some design choices that, as you and I were playing, we were both going like, "What? Why?" I don't understand. So, okay.
Yeah.
So, you know me. I like to play my shooters on the. Let's start off with difficulty, okay? Difficulty, because that's a big deal. Because in other games, like Halo, for example. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna use Halo once again, one of my favorite games of all time, and the reason why Halo, the campaign, was always so well done is because they had a different difficulty. They had your easy, normal, hard, and legendary, or heroic and legendary, and so forth. But the point being is that if you put it on easy, it's for people, and the difficulty actually scales with the player's skill. That's how your difficulty should matter in a game. Easy
You
is
look
for
down on people who play easy.
well, no, I don't look down.
Yes, you do.
It's
Don't
for
lie.
it's for I'm just better than no. So it's just like okay. So easy is for people who have never played shooters or just like don't have the time to put into them, for example, or they just want to get to the story. Okay, that's fine. You know what I mean? That's what easy's for. And Halo does it. And Gears is like, yeah, they definitely do the easy side. I haven't played easy, but I know that it's pretty much there. Normal's for like, hey, give it a shot. It's gonna be a little harder, but if you have a good steady trigger finger, you're gonna do fine. Heroic in the Halo side, it's like, hey, this is gonna be a challenge, but if you're steady and with your movements and going around, and it'll give you a little bit of a leeway, like, hey, if you screw up, you'll still be able to get it. And then there's legendary. That's when the game, and the difference here is the enemies don't have any more hit points. You know what I mean? Like that's a big deal. Right. Easy, normal, hard, legendary in Halo, they're all the same damage. You shoot them in the head, no shields, they're dead. Okay, like that's how it should. You shoot something in the head that has no shields, boom. My biggest gripe that Gears of War does, and this is guilty of all of the games, like not just Gears of War 1. It's like all the Gears franchise as a whole. Is that they go, okay, you go easy, story, okay. You go normal, yeah, okay, it's decent, like a challenge, but like you're still getting a thing. Then you go to hard, and then all of a sudden the enemies go from, hey, you could shoot them in the head, to oh, now they're a bullet sponge. Literally a bullet sponge. Their AI thing is that they just walk towards you. Like, that's also what's annoying. Like, in the Halo franchise, I know I'm going on a rant here, but in the Halo franchise, as you increase the difficulty, it gives the AI more options on what they can do. So if you're an easy and normal, they only shoot their plasma rifles. But if you bump it up to, like, heroic or legendary, they then are able to now... Then they add in the ability to throw a plasma grenade from the enemy. Then they throw
so
in
it becomes skill based.
Skill based
versus I don't know, attrition.
Yes.
So you just have to survive. That's
all.
all.
Exactly. And that's why that's what we really hated. We actually started this game on Insane, and we're both adults now. I'm 30 plus. I think, like, you're 30 plus. So it's like to a point where, like, we want to play a game to have fun.
We're not MLG, Playboy, try hard.
Yeah, but I always personally, like, on the thing where I was saying that I play games because I have the skill, like, I know, like, but I want, when I die in a video game, I want it to be that I screwed up, that I know that, oh, I know what I did there. I made the wrong turn. If I'm going, no, the game's just being cheap, which it was repeatedly. You have it on the harder difficulty. You shoot them in the head, and they don't give you any maneuvering room. Like you're in a column for a lot of these levels, okay? So since it's a column, you can't maneuver, go around, and they have these bullet sponge enemies, and they don't give you enough bullets in the harder difficulties. Like you run out of ammo. They don't give you enough ammo, heavy ammo, to deal with these enemies because they just take shots to the... You shoot them in the haze. How many enemies in the harder difficulties did you shoot in the face with a boom shot, a rocket launcher?
Dude, I can't even tell you.
Yeah, right? And they just shrugged it off. And of the health... And they were like, oh, and then they ripped your head off, or my head off, repeatedly. Like, so yes, that is my... And that's always been in the Gears franchise. So to be honest, I would say play it on normal or even, hard mode, not insane mode, because it's just obnoxious. It's not a matter of
that's what you're
skill.
going for at this point. And I guess we should have the caveat, or however people say it. We're not hardcore gamers anymore. We don't have the time to put into games 5, 6 hours a day. Like, we're lucky if we get 2 hours in a day. It becomes time versus value. Yeah, I guess if we put it on insane, sure, that game will last us 6 months at the rate we were going.
But I think my blood pressure level, if you do...
Yes, you do have to factor our age in now. We're old, so we'll die quicker.
If you would have, like, actually taken my blood pressure before starting the Gears of War 5 game, and, like, over the months, and then, like, at the end, like take my blood pressure level. I swear my blood pressure would have gone up because it was so infuriating because it wasn't a good, it wasn't a good, and it's $1 million game backed by Microsoft. It's an Xbox, a Microsoft first party studio, and I want to be behind it. And they do have really good stuff. I think the story went some places, which was cool. I like that. The ending was a little lackluster, but we'll get to that. But like,
Spoiler alert.
yeah, but like, you need to make it challenge based, not attrition based, as you so succinctly put it. I think that's right, because it's just like, okay, you just throw bullets at them until they're dead, instead of being like, no, you got to dodge left. I like skill based over attrition. So that's hard. Go ahead.
It's just like, in a way, it's just like Call of Duty is. Like, you kill a group of people and you run up, you kill. Well, no, Gears doesn't do that. They don't have the continual spawns like Call of Duty did.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
But you're right. Even when we were playing on normal, though, we were dying way more often than I expected to.
Yes.
By going down in difficulty.
And partly it was because of those cheap mechanics, right? I mean, it was to that point again where like...
Oh, it was one of those things where, one of the enemies will just snipe you from across the building out of nowhere. You could have full health and all of a sudden they hit you in the face and you're dead. Which, you've been shot in the face 5 times before within the past half hour and nothing happened.
Yeah. It's just... And it was very infuriating because... I'm a fan of video games. You are a fan of video games, and we just want to appreciate the game that we've played. I'd say, when did Gears 1 come out? That's probably 10 plus years now.
2007, 2008, 2007, I believe. That's off of memory.
Yeah, November 7, 2006.
Ooh,
okay. So over 10 plus years, we're fans, but we're infuriated with this. This choice on the difficulty, but that's been a long go. So I guess
maybe we're just boomers now.
Yeah, maybe
boomers.
We can move off of difficulty because I feel like it's not skill based, and also don't get me started in horde mode. Okay, let's say graphically, what can you say? I think. What's your opinion on the graphics?
I thought it looked really good.
Yeah.
It didn't blow my mind. Oh, actually, no, I lied. I was gonna say it didn't blow my mind, but do you remember the first scene where we were in that cave with the waterfall and the green? That looked beautiful.
I think it's a very beautiful game. I think all of the Gears of War games have always pushed the limit. Well, Gears, the main.
I thought it kind of lost I like it when they have the colors and stuff, and I understand that the story doesn't call for the game to have color in some situations because you're in a war-torn area, whatever. But when it had like the lush forest and the lush greenery, it was amazing. The Unreal Engine is awesome for that.
Yeah, and I think all of the main Gears 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 have always pushed the graphics capabilities. They're excellent there. And if you want to get get the full horsepower out of your console, or make your big shiny 4K HD TV, take advantage of it. Graphics, it's superb on the graphics. I don't think there's much more to say on the graphics side, right? I mean, like, they are very well done. The face animations look great, and they've always improved upon that.
No, graphic-wise, no, I don't think there's anything else to say, really. Performance issues, there are plenty.
Okay. Like, I guess that would, if you want to say on the graphics, I guess, which is like, because they decided, okay, spoiler alert on this one, which you didn't know already, but they chose to make this game open world. And can we have a tangent on open world games for a second?
Do it up.
So, not every game...
Preach!
No, I'm just saying, not every game needs to be open world. Because sometimes it's a detriment. It feels cheap. It feels like you're just trying to extend the length of a game. I would rather... and how long do you think it took us to beat this game? Like...
Probably...
30-plus hours?
Can't we log in and find out? No, you probably have to go into the game.
Yeah, and that may include multiplayer. But I would say 20 to 30-plus hours on the campaign.
Yeah, easily. But that's because we kept too.
Yeah, and we changed that. So once we dropped the difficulty, of course, we made it a lot faster through the game. But what I'm saying is, on this open world concept, it's not every game needs it, and I do not think Gears of War 5 needed it. I would
It didn't benefit from it.
And it didn't. And in fact, it actually infuriated me more because it was like, hey, here's this huge map. Oh, okay. And they're barren wastelands. There's nothing to do in between them.
It was evident that it was stuck in there to make the game longer.
Yeah, it was because it's not like okay, if they made riding the skiff that your sail, on the skiff that you're on, and they made it fun to ride, sure, maybe.
That was.
But it was boring. It wasn't fun. Hey, the first time you're like, oh, this is neat, and then you're like, wait, you want me to do this for everything? Oh, okay.
Yeah, the only exciting part of it when we were doing that was when chapter you had to go through the storm for this one part, and we died a couple of times, but it was somewhat entertaining.
Yeah, and like when you have those storms, but even then, it was like what was annoying though is they would make you go to the one far end of the map on the far left, and the navigation sucks. The person that's the co-pilot, they can't even do anything. They have to look at a map the entire time, so they don't even get to appreciate the graphics because they're supposed to.
Why that thing didn't have a turret on it?
Yeah, like
if
they would have had a turret on it and maybe enemies out in the field, and maybe there was like, hey, use it as an option. Like what they did with what they did with Jack, I think was amazing, and that's one of the positives. And I'm surprised they didn't do it sooner.
That is the bright spot, I think, in the game.
That is
not.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say it's a lone bright spot, but that is. I would say that's top three. Top three positive things about the game.
I loved that. That was the mechanic with Jack where they would allow him to have abilities that you could upgrade and utilize, and it gave you another resource instead of always having him cloaked and just like in the other games. It's always like, Jack, open this door. Okay, that's it. That's all I get.
Just follow you, and that's it. Just be like a support.
It felt
a support character,
and that added almost like an action adventure vibe to it, or like almost like like a Castlevania Metroid style play where you would get new abilities. I think they should really go into that in the next chapter, because they obviously leave it open ended at the end that they're going to do another one. I want them to continue with the Jack ability. Like if they don't do that in the sixth one, I think it's a missed opportunity. Like I thought that was really well done. I feel like they should drop the open world.
They can't do that.
And yeah, because also like in our reviews, I don't want to just hate. I want to be constructive. You know what I mean? Like I want to be like, hey.
This is a big spoiler. Wait, time out. Big spoiler. If you haven't played the game, which I doubt. If you're listening to this, I'm sure you've played the game already.
Yeah.
But if not, skip ahead 15 seconds. Yep. They can't use Jack in the next game. It's dead.
I mean, yes, but on the benefit side, they're like, as much as it sucks to say this, he is a robot. They'll just like, hey, they'll bring him back. I did think it sucked. The most painful death in that game was Jack. I was not happy to see Jack go. I was like, I was like, everybody else died, and you saw them all get like scared and they're no! Yeah. That was the thing. They killed all these other people that I was like, okay, but not Jack, you like, sorry. Like,
dude, when I was just like, well, that sucks.
Yeah, like everybody else, you were like, nah, I don't care. But they started, you're like, wait, Jack? No. Like, that actually felt like that was a gut punch. I was like, okay.
They cut me deep.
But in all honesty, they have the opportunity that they can bring him back because technically he's a robot.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, It would feel cheap.
And yeah, I get it, because then he can lose all the upgrades that you put into him. So you have to upgrade him again in the next game. He's going to have better abilities because it'll be Jack 2.0.
Yeah. But like, and that's true. So, yes, I think the Jack upgrade was the best. I think that was single-handedly my favorite addition.
That was the best mechanic.
I almost feel like they should put that in the multiplayer. Like you can use
I
them
don't
in
know how
horde
they
mode.
do it though.
Well,
Not horde, I get it. Yeah.
they use them in horde, but I'm like, it would kind of. Well,
could do it
you'd have to
competitive.
eliminate certain abilities, but like give it the ability to like you could put up the
Cloak.
shield using the
Shield.
the shield
Freeze.
option. Freeze would be cool because it's not an insta kill, but it would be like, oh, he used, and you could have Jack Wars. Yeah, boom. Sorry, but
Giggity.
but okay,
By
so
the way, I do have a movie recommendation. Speaking of Jack Wars,
okay, I think I'm intrigued. I'm not sure how I'm gonna take this. What you got here? Just
you need to watch Hustler with J Lo.
oh.
It's an awful movie, but the visuals are nice.
Yeah. I saw. I didn't know. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. No, I was like,
Did you like where I cut that video clip I sent you?
Yeah.
Where I cut that off?
Yeah, you did. I was like, okay. I like, all right.
But I want to see more.
Yeah, I was like, I must think about this.
I'm just saying, for her being 50 years old,
It's grade
she
A.
looks better than like 20 years old women.
Still looking good.
For sure. No doubt. That's what money gets you.
Well, there you go. Another movie for the future.
Well, even my wife and I were watching it. My wife picked it out. Mind you, I didn't.
Lucky
She
man.
wanted to see it because there was an actress in it that was also in that. What the fuck is that show called? I don't know. The Archie show. The Archie TV show. Not Smallwood. I don't know what it's called.
Smallwood.
But
Okay.
she
All
picked it out. And when they're stripping or whatever, she's looking at J-Lo and she's like, damn, she looks good. I'm like, I know.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It is. That was a bonding moment. Anyway.
Sound. I would say sound is phenomenal. I
Fine,
think
perfect.
sound is great. Like I think the audio
wait.
for the guns felt good. They all were weighty. When you hear a certain gun or you hear a certain enemy, you know what is coming around the corner. I thought that was done phenomenally. So graphics and sound, amazing, on point.
We didn't flesh out the issues that we had, technically. The technical issues. So maybe it's just because we also played this co-op. We played the whole game co-op.
Yeah.
Not 1 second of this game was played single player
Yeah.
by ourselves.
True.
At least on my end. I don't know
Yeah,
about
no,
you.
that's true.
But because it's open world, and because the open world is massive, like absolutely massive.
Yeah. Oh, it's barren. It's a massive open world for the sake. Like,
Yes.
there's nothing in it.
There's nothing
So
in it.
it's
Or
fluff.
You're moving through desert and tundra and whatever. But so what happens is you have naturally loading zones. And again, maybe might be because of our internet, but I doubt that because you have a gigabyte connection. Might be because of our systems. I doubt that. I have an Xbox One X. I don't know how much better you can get with it. But when you're going through these loading zones, the game completely stops, and especially because you're moving with the skiff, so you're gliding along at however pretty fast, I guess, whatever
Mhm.
in game scale. You're just plowing along this barren wasteland, and all of a sudden, the game starts skipping, like it's like a old school CD that was played with or I guess record played with a needle. The game starts skipping, and all of a sudden, you just stop for a couple of seconds, maybe 15, 30 seconds at the worst, which was awful because we were like, do we have to turn this off? Should we wait? And then all of a sudden it was just start going. And then I don't know how many times it happened, but it happened quite a few times where we went into, I guess, a town or something of interest that we had to walk through. And all of a sudden the game would let or stop or skip or whatever you want to call it. And then all of a sudden, hey, it puts us right in front of an enemy. And guess what?
Yeah, well, that happened the one time because we went on the mission. There are side missions that you can do in the open world. So if you were going to say it's not all the in-betweens, but you'll see flags that are like points of interest. So you go to the flag, and we went in and we stepped in the middle of what we were like, oh, it just says this is point of interest. And all of a sudden, we walked in and it just populated the enemies, and we were surrounded, and we were shot in the face repeatedly before we even had a chance to react. And we were just
it was a bukkake.
We got two
We
pieces.
stepped into a bukkake.
Yeah. So yeah, it was an experience. Uh, but also, like, that's never happened before in any of the Gears games because none of the other Gears games were open world. They were closed campaigns. They were going from point A to point B, and they were fun stories. They had your different vehicle moments. You had mech moments, and in Gears of War 4, you get to walk around in mechs. In 3, you get to, I think you have take control of a Brumac at one point. But, like, the idea, you don't need that open world, and I think this kind of shows that you don't need it.
No, like you said, it's overplayed at this point. It's a tired game mechanic. It's a tired concept. Like, some games do call for it, like Grand Theft Auto. You need an open world. That's what that game is based on.
Because they take the expertise to make it like that. But
Gears is based on linear levels, and
that's not a bad thing. Like,
no, not at all.
Like,
they were doing a good job with it.
Yeah, and then I understand they wanted to try something new, but like, this isn't that type of game. You don't need it to be open world. So, are we gonna talk gameplay? Are you thinking, or?
I was gonna say gameplay or story, whatever.
Well, let's go on gameplay. Let's go gameplay because we know. What are your?
I just don't want to keep harping. Gameplay. I think if you've ever played a Gears, they're the same. We were talking mechanics a little bit earlier with Jack, and I think really that's the only like new thing other than the skiff. I don't really consider that a mechanic.
I would say if we were doing like a plus minus thing, the skiff thing is a negative, and an open world mechanic is a negative. Like it doesn't bring anything to the table.
Nothing really new was introduced
aside from the Jack ability, which I thought was awesome. And that was
pretty intuitive too.
And it's nice because all the abilities, I think, huge props to whoever came up with the idea of actually making Jack a tool for war. Something
and a playable
to use
co-op character.
And and having actually utilizing him and making him like a valuable part of the team was awesome.
That is one thing I would like to go back and try for a little bit at least. Trying to do co-op and having one of us be Jack and like switching off.
We need 3 people in order to do that. That's the only
problem. Oh, you can't use them if you only have 2?
Yeah, like so like in 3 people, because I think it was like, one of us has to be the girl, but
yeah, you have to be the 2 main characters, and okay, I got you.
Which was
that's another thing we could talk about, that twist.
Yeah, which that story we'll talk about that story, but on the gameplay side. So, but we're bringing up the point, like, don't make it so that you have to shoot the enemy in the face repeatedly, and they don't. If you shoot an enemy in the face with a full clip of ammo, and they don't die, I think you've done something wrong. Like,
that pisses me off to begin with. The fact that it takes that.
I don't understand, because they do play testing, right? And they do play testing with these things. And do you think the guys were like, you know what? I thought it was pretty lame. I shot him in the face once. His face could only take 1 bullet, and he died. And I was like, noob. No,
to me,
you're right. Like,
I don't know. I think that it's a sign of cutting corners. Because think about it. To make a game harder without making like bullet sponges,
what you need AI.
Yes, and you know what? Increasing the AI creates
expense,
more time, more expense.
Yeah.
More testing, more developers. I can see why they don't want to do it, but at the same time, it makes for a much worse product. Like, you going back to Halo, they make the enemies smarter, not necessarily stronger. I mean, there's a little bit of both.
Yeah, very little. There is an increase in their resilience, but for the most part, they're pretty much, if you shoot them in the face, they're going to die unless they have shielding. Their shields are stronger.
They're smarter than they are stronger, regardless of what level you are.
Yeah.
Unless you're playing easy, then there's...
Yeah, and so, yeah, I like, that was my most infuriating thing, is like, I want to play the game, I want to feel challenged, but not cheated. And in this game, I felt cheated all the time. Like, there were times where, I'd be covering you, and you would poke up for a second, you get your head blown off, or I would poke up for a second, and an enemy that wasn't even looking at me would, like, automatically turn around and blow my head off. Like, and across the map. and I would do the same thing to him, but nothing would happen.
Yeah, it's almost insulting to the gamer. I think, like,
Yeah.
it comes down. It's almost like maybe it's because this is from an older, I guess, quote unquote, boomer perspective. Even though we're not technically boomers,
We're
early
crap.
30s,
No, we're damn it. Gen
millennial. I don't think
Yeah, we're millennials. We fall in millennials because it's
Do we?
82 and 83 is up. Is
Oh, really?
Yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna double check that.
That's a shame.
Age to.
I support plastic straws. I don't support napkins.
Anyone born between 1981 and 1996 is considered.
But
a
I thought they
millennial.
were Gen X or okay, whatever. All right.
Yeah, and that's a story for another time because I'm sure that's as freaking confusing as it all.
Back in my day.
So, but we're still part of the millennials, so woohoo! We're not that old. Okay,
We used
so
to get in college.
no.
Oh, sorry.
I may have that time code.
No, not leave that ad.
44. Okay. Anyway, yeah, it's like, I'm
I
gonna
will
put a beep
protest
there,
this if
so
you
it's
take
like a
this.
beep.
All right, that's acceptable.
44. Just remember 44.
Write it down, bro,
I know. Trying to figure out where to put this. Gears
or
one.
text yourself.
Minute 44.
Minute 44.
Yeah. That's of the recording so far. If you look on
Yeah.
the clean feed, can you see on the clean feed? Does it tell you the length of time on the recording?
No,
Oh, it doesn't. Okay.
no, just two boxes having. your
Oh,
name
okay.
on
I have a
it.
third line. It's telling me though, like we've got 45 minutes right now.
So where were we?
So
Gameplay?
we're back on the gameplay. Basically, going that it's frustrating that it shouldn't have. They were, enemies should die if they're shot in the face, and we think that in order to make the enemies better, they should increase the AI. Do the thing like Halo. It's not bad
But
what
they
Halo
can't-
did.
It's a time. It's a cost that
Yeah,
they don't
but-
want to spend.
Doing one more line to say like, hey, in normal mode the enemies don't throw grenades, but in hard
So
mode they do.
What do you
throw
mean
grenades.
doing one more line, Jared? Are you supporting drug use by game
Yeah.
developers?
Yes, I am. But relatively speaking, and I am not a programmer whatsoever, but it would make the game because also this okay. Let me put it this way: if the campaign justifying like what I'm going about with the AI thing, if the AI was only in the campaign and they didn't want to go through the matters of like, hey, now that it's in hard mode, now they have an evade move, now they have a grenade move. You know what I mean? Kind of do.
Right.
If it's just a campaign, sure, I could maybe see like, hey, they just decided to make them have more bullets. But here's the difference.
Yeah.
I just want to make this point. They use that same AI for horde mode and escape mode. Okay? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and those two modes are not like, hey, the campaign, everybody plays the campaign and it's a one-off. Do you know what I mean? Like, they just do the campaign, boom, and they're done.
Very rarely are people going to play that over and over again. Yeah,
Right?
I get it.
But the horde mode and the escape mode is touted that you're going to play that several times. Like, there are challenges in there to do things, play 50,
Well, yeah, make you do it.
50 horde modes, 50
We have a
escape.
friend that does it.
Yeah, I know. But like, you get what I'm saying. So, like, that's why I would justify the whole idea of, increasing that code. But, yeah.
Yeah, well, the thing is, too, I don't know. It's you see them get a little bit smarter. Like in the harder difficulties, they do roll away from grenades more than what they do in easier difficulties. Because in the harder difficulty, I don't think with the exception of like when they were swarming us, I don't think I ever got a grenade kill. But in the easier difficulty, I would if it was just say a solo locust, a loci, if you will. But other than that, like, I don't know. To me, it's typical Gears gameplay. You played one, you played them all. You know what to expect.
For the most part. And it's the enemies that are new. And I
Yeah.
think they have great enemy designs. I think the new enemies are always cool. And
Oh yeah, they always look fantastic. It is really impressive. I mean, to me, granted, I try to be creative. I can't say I'm ever really that creative, but how people come up with those kind of like, I have such empathy for people who create sci-fi
Memorable
worlds
characters,
and
yeah,
like
and
just characters
environments.
in general. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
I love that stuff. Yeah,
Like
and
the mind you have to have for that is, I almost feel bad for those people because I can imagine like their mind being all over the place. I don't know.
oh yeah,
That's just the way I envision
no,
it.
I kind of second that like it's amazing the ability they have, and I wish I was more talented in that department. So
Um, so what do we got next? We got
replay
so
value.
replay value. Nah, you play it
Un-
once.
Unfortunately, I I don't think the campaign
Unless
is very much.
unless you're a hardcore Gears fan. I mean, if you're a Gears fan, even if you're like a solid Gears fan, like we are, no, you played it
Yeah.
once.
Yeah,
Unless
I
you're an
usually
achieve-
play the campaign and do it, and yeah,
If you're an
awards.
achievement whore, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing is too, there is a spot in the game where you have to make a choice that could change things, and we'll never know because I'm not playing it again. But I wonder what that would change the end of the game. I don't think it would really change anything. In my mind, it'd probably just end up swapping
What part are you talking about in particular? Which one?
the last chapter where you had to make a choice and you made the wrong choice
Well,
the first time.
Right
and-
here, let's jump right in the story because I think replay value. We've kind of said our piece on it. So
Yeah, there's not much to say.
yeah, so on the story side, what do you think about that choice between JD and?
Well, I guess that's unfair to jump into that right away. Story wise, I don't know. I like the story overall. I don't necessarily. I'm. Then again, I might be the worst person to ask for this or to talk about this with, but I'm a person who skips cutscenes.
That's cardinal sin in my
Huh.
I always hate that.
I know. I understand that, but in my mind, I like to play. I don't want to watch. I play video games to play, not for story. I play for the fun of playing. And obviously, we're two completely different people with that, which is fine. Story wise, I think it was, if I'm rating it, it was average on, like
I thought the opening was interesting.
the opening. Yeah, I would say the opening was stronger than the finish for sure. If we're gonna do it that way.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. And you. Oh wow, I'm getting my games mixed up. I think between 4 and 5.
Well, I think the ending. I mean, I'll just say my whole piece right now. Like,
Yeah, go
and
ahead.
for beginning was strong.
Yes.
Maybe it's because I got bored, or whatever, and I was just like, we were playing on what Insane for so long. I just wanted to finish the game after a while.
Yeah,
we,
because
we
it's
spent
just
so
more-
long on it.
Angered you and me too. Yeah.
And towards the end, I was just like, I don't care. I just want to finish the game. But I was shocked with how the end of the game was just kind of, eh. It was like, so you're fighting the final boss, and then it's like, oh, it's over, and then you're just like,
Yep.
what? I don't know if you saw it. Did you see that text I sent you the other day or yesterday? Maybe
Which one?
it had to have been yesterday. I think I sent it to you.
I'm looking.
I texted you my thoughts the day after we finished.
Oh
the
yeah,
game.
yeah. No, I read them. Oh yeah. They were. Your thoughts were noted. Yeah.
So-
yes, I totally agree with you on that on the end
To
boss
go-
fight.
Just to go off of what I sent. No, this is a day after, I guess 12 hours after we finished the game. I said the boss fight was boring, or boss fight was boring.
And it
I
was.
don't know about you, but did you recall any music during the boss fight? I didn't.
It was very loose.
There was like no
Music.
atmosphere.
And okay, so agree. Like just the recap for people who can't remember. The end boss fight of Gears of War 5. It's a giant worm. And
Penis!
And yeah, and the best thing they came up with is that the giant worm that could do all these things, move around, they decided to just make its head stationary,
It has horns.
and it has
And tongues.
little tongue horns three of them that kind of like its mouth just sits there, and the tongue horns just sit there and like it just seemed stagnant. Like it sat there. It's like this living creature is just gonna sit there and let its tongue get shot out repeatedly and not move the whole thing.
It was like a prostitute and a circle jerk.
It was also like when I realized they had the rail gun at the end there, and they're like, use the rail gun to shoot in the head. And I thought, okay. We went and shot the rail gun, and it didn't shoot off. It didn't blow it up entirely. It just shot off one of its jaws. And in my head, immediately after that happened, it would go,
yeah,
oh,
we're going to do this shit 3 more times.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then that damn hero, what?
Hero Jack.
Jack was like, don't worry, I won't make you have to do that all the time. And he goes and sacrifices them. Jack's a freaking hero. I just want you to know that, okay? I think that's the biggest thing. Because not only did he didn't save the Gears people only. He saved the player.
The world, man.
He saved the player. He saved the player like, don't worry, I won't make you do this. I'll go kill myself.
And as bad as it is to top that with how cheesy this was. So something big happens. I don't know. I guess we've already spoiled enough of this game. So in the game, you have a choice towards the end, the last act, to kill either JD, Marcus's son, or what's his name? Dale
Walker.
Dale. That's how memorable these people are. Well, clearly you want to save the person you're playing with, well, in our case, and not JD. So the big baddie kills JD, which you never see her again either after that.
Yep.
And then...
Yeah, you're right. They just...
Yes.
Nothing.
So in this scene, the quote-unquote queen comes out, and she's talking about the hive mind and all this, that, and the other thing, and she has tentacles and wraps them around Dell, and JD's necks.
Yeah.
And you have to choose which one you want to survive or whatever, and she snaps the other one's neck. Well, in our case, I survived, a.k.a. Dell, and JD died. Well, you play for
the
15
first time,
minutes.
I kind of screwed up. Remember, you were playing Dell, and I was like, don't worry, I'll save you. And I killed the wrong guy, and I killed you.
I do. And then the game froze, and we had to restart it.
Yeah.
So after this all happens, you go through, another firefight or two, and then you see Marcus, and then you're like, oh, hey, by the way, your son's dead.
Yeah.
End the game.
No time to talk. We just had to let you know JD's dead. What? Like, they talk about it, but very briefly. It is not a very elegant talk. Like,
No.
So the boss fight, so the ending was lackluster. The boss fight was stupid. It was very boring. You had to sit. It felt like, honestly, I felt like that boss fight was like a 10-year-old trope.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
I feel like that was
sure.
something games 10 years ago did, not today.
My thing is just like, okay, so you shoot one of the horns off, you shoot another one of the horns off with the railgun, and then you're just unloading. They have unlimited ammo caches on the level, so you just pick up ammo every time you need it. You're just unloading on this thing, and all of a sudden it's like, snap of a finger, cutscene, and then you're like expecting the fight again, and then it's like, nope, game over. What?
It's not. Yeah, and so honestly, like that, it was a poor design choice. Like, because I think the game, if they would have taken out the open world, I think they would have been a lot more enjoyable, because you're going, instead of like, because a lot of times that navigation we had to go through. If they would have taken out, come up with a better boss battle, like, and that worm thing, by the way, that worm thing just kind of shows up in the last like 10% of the game.
Yeah,
like they don't even mention it. Do you know what I mean? And
did they give it a name?
I don't remember them giving it a name. And on top of that, I feel like they were like, we don't know how to close this game up. Okay, let's make a giant worm. But then, I felt like they didn't know how to wrap it up. And so they just decided to throw in a worm and say that's the big boss.
There was nothing, like, boss-wise, there was nothing memorable. Like, you remember, it might have been Gears 1 or Gears 2 when you saw the Brumac, like, in that choke point, you're like, what the f***?
Yeah, and it was cool, and that was, like, the big bad. Like, but that's the thing. Gears 1 had Ram. That was the big bad. Gears 2 had Skull. I can't remember his name. Gears 2. Yeah, but you know what I'm
Honestly,
talking about.
I don't like if I saw a picture of him, I remember it, but I don't really remember. I mean, I know who you're talking about, but I don't at the same time.
It's a freaking
Like I know who Ram is. I know who the Queen is.
yeah. There he is.
It doesn't do with the
Scourge.
dreadlocks. Oh yeah.
Okay, that's who I'm like, and he was a good bad guy. Like, yeah, that was the thing, and you knew the Queen was involved, but that was kind of her main fighter. You know what I mean? And I thought that was cool. Gears 3 had the Lambent, and you had that giant like Lambent creature that got emulsified in it, and I thought that was cool. But like,
see, that's what I mean with enemies. By the way, going back to the beginning of our podcast, you could do way more stuff with the same enemies that you have. You don't have to introduce new species, new creatures. Ah, ah.
Yeah. Well, and now, so that's what we think on the gameplay side and the story. The last thing is our opinion. I guess ultimately, I think it's worth playing once. If you're
especially
yeah,
especially if you like the game. I mean,
yeah. I know we just said a lot of negatives, but it's like because we are fans of the game. It's just it was disappointing that there were just some weird design choices that made us more angry than like happy. I did like that they made some cool things they did. There were some callbacks. I thought it was really cool that if you noticed in that one level, you're walking around in the bones of of that giant worm you killed in Gears of War 2. Like I thought, did you notice that?
I did. Well, you had to say it to me during the game, but yeah.
I thought that was, but those callbacks, I thought those were really cool, and they had like
and they just stopped too, though. It feels like it did.
Well, I mean, there were little ones throughout. Like I actually was reading the little trinkets that you were picking up, and it was cool. Like they did do callbacks to all the other Gears games, and I was really happy about that. So there are things we really liked about it. It was just, I think the open world and the bullet sponginess just took it away, and that end fight was very lackluster. But hey, go play the game. I know. It's just the game. I think 90% of the game is fun to play on a normal difficulty. I don't think this isn't because it's not a
jump. If you don't have super high expectations, it's fine.
Once we put it on normal mode, I had fun. I really did. Like,
yes, certainly.
I think we put it on hard difficulty and insane mode just to see it through. And we've done hard mode and insane mode before in the other Gears, just to point this out. We've done insane mode, and it was fun. It was it was a challenged experience, but it wasn't, like, cheap. And this mode, though, felt cheap. And that's what I'll say on my 2 cents on that. So definitely recommend, but play it on a normal difficulty to enjoy your time and have fun with it. So,
any
other points to say?
I don't know if you want to get into multiplayer because we have played multiplayer. I mean, not extensively, but enough to get a solid idea of it. We probably put at least 10 hours.
Let's say our thoughts on multiplayer. Well, what are your thoughts on multiplayer in general in the Gears franchise? To give once again a baseline.
It can be extremely fun, or it can be extremely painful.
So it's polar opposites. It's you're either having extremely fun,
and it depends what you're doing.
Yeah,
it depends what you're doing for sure. So I've learned I cannot, and it's probably just me. I don't know. I cannot and will not ever play ranked match in Gears again, unless they change it.
Ranked match, yeah,
can't do it.
I understand where you're coming from because it generally isn't fun because it's weird. Like when we went into the casual mode, it's cool because the guns, the Lancer, any gun that you use, and everybody does not spawn with a shotgun. You have to acquire the shotgun. So the shotgun's like a major upgrade. The nice thing about the assault rifle in their game, or the Lancer, is that it has kickback, and it will actually drop people and kill them across the map if you actually shoot it correctly. Do you know what I mean? And I love that about it. Somebody can't just bum rush you. If they try and bum rush you, you put them down.
Typically.
But in ranked mode, for some reason, they take away the kickback of the Lancer, and they make it so that when you put shots down range, they just ignore them. It turns the human player into like the thing we hate about Gears of War's hardest difficulty is that they just walk through the bullets like they're not like you feel like you're not even shooting them.
They would have kept multiplayer. So there's obviously two. You have a lot of different versions of multiplayer. You have the arcade, you have ranked, you have horde, and you have escape. Horde and escape, whatever, they're fun for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just what you typically expect out of horde. Escape is almost reverse horde. Essentially, you're trying to get away from the enemies rather than staying in one spot. Ranked, I won't touch it. I tried it once or twice. I wanted to punch a hole through my wall, and I don't think I have anger issues. It's just frustrating.
Yeah.
Arcade was perfect. So in arcade mode, everyone starts off with a Lancer, I believe, and a pistol.
Yeah.
So in order to get other weapons other than killing your teammates, first things first, everyone starts off with the same weapons, Lancer and a pistol. The snub, I believe.
Yes.
In order to get more weapons, you have to get kills and buy weapons, but you can only buy weapons based on the character you're playing, and each character has 2 different weapons and a different grenade from other characters. So you're always going to get that weapon as long as you're that character. So there is one character that has the shotgun, the Gnasher, but there's other characters that have longbow. There's other characters that have boom shot, yada yada yada, and there's a character that gives you a random weapon in each slot and a random grenade. But to get those, it's an equivalent amount. So to get the Gnasher, it's not necessarily a power weapon, but you do have to get a fair amount of kills.
Yeah, and it's not because nobody in ranked mode. Nobody uses the Lancer because everybody just walks through the bullets like they're nothing.
Unless you have like 5 or 6 people shooting at one person. Even then, good luck.
Yeah. So, and we have had fun. But also like, if we're going with all the Gears ever, that's why I loved Gears of War 3 because they finally had, regardless of ranked mode or whatever, is that they added kickback to the guns, the Lancer and the Retro Lancer. My favorite because if somebody tried to rush you with a shotgun. You could, if you shot them like a skill-based thing, if you put bullets on them, it would stop them. They could not run through the bullets. For some reason, in this Gears, they decided to, at least in ranked mode, they decided bullets don't mean anything. Yeah, so that's why, personal opinion, I always loved Gears of War 3's multiplayer because I thought it was genuinely fun. But I feel like, do you have any other points that you want to make note of, or?
No, other than the arcade mode was probably my most favorite.
It was entertaining. It was fun.
And any Gears game, really.
And the skin they had for like the Sarah Connor and the T800, I thought were really well done.
Yeah, I think they actually just released. I saw today, by the way. They released more maps and more skins for free. Well,
I did see they have the Rev 9 now, Terminator, and the girl that is in the new Terminator, and that she's augmented or whatever. So it's pretty cool. But, so, I will say that this has been another Noble Thoughts by Idiots Reviews.
Wait, before, what would you give... If you had to give it a score, what would you give?
Out of 10?
Let's go out of 10.
Okay, so 10's
or
like...
Yeah.
10's like you must play it, has to. 9's like it's pretty damn... It's a must. Like, it's a pretty solid, you should play it for sure. I'm going to give it like a 7. It's not a bad game. It's just... But because of those, the open world that didn't need to be there, the frustration of shooting things in the face and needing to reload to shoot them in the face again. Like that's what I'd say.
I get that. I mean, if it were up to me, damn, you make a good argument. That's a good score, I feel. 7 is fitting. I don't know
Because
though.
it's entertaining. It's not a bad game, and 7
No, it's
isn't
not.
bad. It's good. Yeah, it's good. But like, it's frustrating because
To
it's
me,
not.
it's if you like the game, you play it. Would you recommend it to somebody to try to get them into video games? No, not my opinion. So
Yeah, that
automatically,
probably
that's not
wouldn't
a
be a
10.
good one because it would frustrate them. I feel personally,
So I
and
think, yeah,
yeah,
a 7 to me is that's a fair score.
yeah, I think it's there. Um, it's just the little frustrations because I there were a lot of times we were frustrated. We usually get frustrated in our games personally, but so I think we'll say thanks for listening to the Noble Thoughts by Idiots first video game review. To be honest, first review period.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We have many more things we'll talk about, and these are reviews when we get things, when we get about to them. That way, there's no rush. We're not trying to do the most recent thing.
Normal
We can.
reviews by the normal man.
Yep. Well, thank you very much, and
We will be reviewing coming up. We will be reviewing Mandalorian.
yes, for sure.
And another game. Should we decide to play another one and finish it?
Well, I'll lead it. I'll end it off here. Then another game that we should review, just to give people an idea of a fun cooperative experience that not many people have really heard of. I feel personally, and if they want a really good co-op game, Strange Brigade. I think
Yes.
we should. So we'll give
We
that.
can
a
talk
review
about
in the
that.
future.
Yeah.
So thanks very much, and have a good night.